And we continue now with the author of the brand new book, America for Sale, Dr. Jerome Corsi. All right, you name names in this book.
Yes.
You give the names of people that you say are putting America up for sale, and a name that all our audience is familiar with. We hear it often, especially in presidential election years. This guy by the name of George Soros.
Yes, and I also cite their writings. So George Soros says, we have an international economy. What we need now is international governance systems to control the international economy. In other words, the UN, the World Bank, the IMF, to the detriment of American sovereignty. Because George Soros thinks that nation states are like when kings had castles.
Well, when you say that, that would mean that we, the people, the United States Constitution, would be circumvented at the altar of this one world what?
One world government, one world secondary. Our sovereignty would be subject to the dictates of the World Trade Organization, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the UN. In Soros's view, we've got an international economy. So the international governance organizations should set the rules.
So that means, and he has said this, you've gone through and you've looked at...
I've cited his writings.
In his past...
In the book, in America for Sale, I quote page by page out of Soros's writings, where he says things like, nation states like the United States should be when kings had castles.
And this raises a question. How does somebody like that, a multi-billionaire, have the power to impact so much in terms of our electoral process?
Well, with his billions, he thinks he can buy votes, and he always has gone, I mean, he bet against the pound. It's how he made his original money. Now he's betting against the dollar. He doesn't want U.S. sovereignty or U.S. economic strength to be predominant. So you've got this global vision, which dictates his backing of Barack Obama.
But, you know, look at all the groups that he's formed, and look at all the groups that he funds, all these Democratic groups, many of which attack me personally.
Absolutely.
Or any opponent of any opponent of the president or any opponent of the Democratic...
Or supporter of U.S. sovereignty. Anyone who wants there to be a strong U.S. economy, who cares about the U.S. worker, who cares about the 9th and 10th Amendment and limited government, George Soros singles out and wants to attack.
All right, so he's number one in terms of who you blame.
Yes.
The second group that you blame is the Obama administration itself.
Yes, because the Obama administration has gone along with this globalism. If you just take a look at the last G20 meetings in London in April and just recently in Pittsburgh, agreements have been signed that undermine the dollar. We're putting money into the International Monetary Fund to create these special drawing rights, and the plan, according to China, is that this will replace, the special drawing rights will replace the U.S. dollar as a standard for foreign exchange.
Do you really believe that Americans would tolerate America giving up its sovereignty?
Well, this whole administration, Rahm Emanuel, even Hillary Clinton, says don't let a crisis go to waste. So a crisis in which we have, as I show in the book, a 65 trillion with a T, unfunded liability. Money that we're going to have to pay out in Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. There's no way of paying for it.
I don't dispute your facts, but do you really believe that they, in their mind, want America to cease to exist? Because when you say it gives up its sovereignty, America, as we know it, ceased to exist.
What I show is President Obama is post-American. He believes in this internationalism. Just listen to his speeches when he went to Cairo and reached out to the Muslim world. Listen to his speeches at the United Nations. It's no longer, he puts down American exceptionalism.
He does. Well, his answer was that, well, I assume the Greeks think, you know, there's Greek exceptionalism, et cetera, et cetera.
So, you know, the United States, where is the shining city on the hill? Where is the defense of the U.S. middle class?
But do you think are these just socialist policies, or are these policies that really would surrender American sovereignty?
They really surrender American sovereignty, and I document that with the economics in America for Sale. It's why I go through George Soros's writings, Zbigniew Brzezinski's writings.
Well, let's go to Brzezinski here for a second. He was Jimmy Carter's his national security advisor, foreign policy advisor.
Right, exactly.
And he recently was quoted as talking about that if the Israelis deem it necessary to take out Iranian nuclear facilities to shoot Israeli planes out of the air. How is he on the list of the people that you blame?
Well, because Brzezinski has advocated, again, that the United States, as a superpower, should not be dominant in world affairs. We should let international organizations like the United Nations even determine international foreign policy. Tell the White House what they can and can't do, where the president should first go to check with the Security Council. I mean, here's Barack Obama chairing the Security Council. Zbigniew Brzezinski would have the Security Council determine what the president could or could not do in foreign affairs, including Afghanistan or Iran or any other.
That's pretty frightening.
It is frightening.
Yeah, but that reminds me of just that weak foreign policy of Jimmy Carter.
Well, and we've got Jimmy Carter, too.
Worse.
You know, and Barack Obama.
I would argue worse.
Barack Obama is much more concerned with what the world opinion is when he should be concerned with the people who are losing their homes and their jobs, the American middle class. And that's why I'm calling in America for Sale for the rise of 21st century American patriots.
All right, you've got this last guy, this Columbia University
Joseph
professor.
Stiglitz.
Okay.
And Stiglitz, again, is a good example because he's an economist, but he says, oh, globalism is fine. We should have international trade to the detriment of the United States, but we should have the underdeveloped countries be more represented, and U.S. wealth should be transferred to underdeveloped countries.
So we're going to pay for their health care, too?
And Barack Obama in Pittsburgh signed agreements, again, where the International Monetary Fund is going to allow greater governance for China and the underdeveloped countries. This, again, most Americans aren't aware of, but these technical agreements that come out of the international meetings often compromise U.S. sovereignty.
It's kind of chilling what you're saying. You don't really paint a very optimistic picture.
I am optimistic, and the book ends very
strong. You're optimistic because you think people will rise up against this.
I think people will oppose it. I think what's going to happen and has happened, the tea parties, the town halls, middle Americans are saying no to a global New Deal. And that's what America for Sale is all about. How you can organize your life to survive economic hard times, pay off debt, make sure you get your primary residential real estate, consolidate families, and then go back to the fundamental principles of the Constitution, the 9th and 10th Amendments, limited governments, and just say, no, international trade is fine. We need to be in an international environment, but not to the detriment of U.S. sovereignty or giving up this country.
Dr. Corsi, I have no doubt you'll be attacked first thing in the morning.
I'm certain that I will.
But I will tell you, it's a provocative, well-researched book, and I got to tell you, I think it's a warning for a lot of people. In many ways, we're heading in the wrong direction, and there's a lot at stake.
It's a call to action, and it's a great honor to be again with you, Sean.
Thank you very much. And coming up, a busy night tonight, an update on the school that had its students singing the president's praises. Well, let's